Detective Mason Quill had worked homicide for 15 years, but he'd never lost sleep like he had over the disappearance of Ariana Bell. A year had passed since her vanishing inside room 1123 of the Halston Grand. Layla Burns' mysterious reappearance only deepened the questions. Ariana's journal, the audio tapes, and the ghostly mirror reflections had shaken Quill's reality. And then came the photo. Ariana, barefoot in a mirror-lit hallway, with Rachel Corman's blood-stained reflection just behind her. On the back, she left something behind. "You're next." For Quill, this wasn't just about finding a missing woman anymore. It was about stopping whoever, had taken her. The break came unexpectedly. Quill's intern, Sam, stumbled across a sealed box of internal memos from the Cardell Institute, mislabeled and buried in the Chicago Health Department archives. Inside were files dating back to the 1980s. One file had a name that sent chills through Quill's spine, Project 1123, Behavioral Mirror Trials. It described experimental therapy rooms equipped with two-way mirrors, allowing unseen doctors to observe patients from behind the glass. One such facility. The sub-basement of what used to be the Cardell Recovery Hotel, now the Halston Grand. A list of therapists and staff involved revealed a familiar name. Dr. Ezra Kingsley. Kingsley hadn't just been Rachel's doctor. He'd designed the mirrored observation room. And another name, cross-referenced with hotel records, appeared repeatedly. Trevor Lin. Determined to end it, Quill went back to room 1123, this time with a tech team, psychic consultant, and a city inspector in tow. They brought infrared cameras, EMF meters, and even GPR, ground-penetrating radar, to scan the walls. But it was the psychic, a quiet woman named Elaine Rojas, who pointed to the mirror and whispered. "She's not in there anymore. But she's close." The mirror's frame, once thought decorative, turned out to be hinged. Behind it, a hidden compartment containing a VHS tape labeled Corman 6B. They found a hidden viewing room on the other side of the wall, complete with a rusted chair and broken headphones. Whoever had been watching them from behind that glass, had been recording everything. The VHS tape was digitized and viewed under court supervision. The footage was grainy. Timestamp, March 2017. Rachel Corman sat on the bed in room 1123, visibly distressed. She stared into the mirror, whispering things no one could make out. At the 7-minute mark, a figure entered the room. Trevor Lin. He wasn't wearing his hospital uniform, just a plain hoodie and gloves. He sat silently behind the mirror, watching her like a specimen. Then, he whispered into a mic. Rachel jumped, looked around. "You're not alone," the recording picked up. As Rachel screamed, the mirror fogged unnaturally. A dark shape formed, almost inhuman. The tape ended with static. Quill knew what he had now, evidence not just of negligence, but of abuse and psychological torture. More tapes followed. Over a dozen were recovered from the basement, Ariana Bell, Layla Burns, and 2 other unknown women, all recorded through the mirror. Each followed a pattern, the room isolated them, voices whispered through hidden speakers, and eventually, their behavior collapsed into hysteria or dissociation. Trevor Lin had orchestrated a modern-day psychological haunting, preying on vulnerable women to recreate the trauma suffered by Rachel Corman, and worse, he filmed it all. He wasn't alone either. A forensic dive into Kingsley's finances revealed payouts to a secret foundation called Mirrorwalk, a supposed therapy research nonprofit that had been shut down in 1993 after allegations of patient mistreatment. This wasn't supernatural. This was predation masked as science. Quill visited Trevor Lin in prison. When confronted with the tapes, Trevor's face went pale. He denied nothing. "I didn't make her scream," he said. "The mirror did. I just gave it what it wanted." Quill leaned in. "You wanted to be her. Rachel. You tried to become her in your head, and when you couldn't, you made other women do it for you." Trevor didn't respond. But when asked about Ariana, he finally cracked. She fought back. She wouldn't mirror Rachel. She started, becoming herself again. That's when the mirror turned on me. Those were his last words before requesting solitary confinement. He hasn't spoken since. The trial made national headlines. With digital evidence, expert testimony, and the testimonies of survivors, including Layla Byrne, the prosecution built an airtight case. Trevor Lin was convicted of unlawful imprisonment, aggravated psychological assault, attempted manslaughter, destruction of evidence, criminal conspiracy with Kingsley, who died in 2022 under suspicious circumstances. He received 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. During sentencing, Judge Lorraine Keller said, "You didn't just rob these women of their freedom. You robbed them of their sense of self. Your punishment will mirror that isolation, forever." Room 1123 was sealed under city ordinance. The Halston Grand was fined, sold, and demolished 6 months later. In its place, the city built a victims' resource center for trauma survivors. Ariana's remains were never found. But in a closing search of the sub-basement, Quill discovered a necklace she'd worn in her travel photos, tucked into a crevice between 2 concrete slabs. DNA matched her. It wasn't the closure her parents had hoped for, but they now had a memorial to grieve at. Layla Byrne recovered slowly. She started a nonprofit called Reflected Voices, dedicated to women who survive trauma that others don't believe. The hotel industry overhauled safety laws for internal surveillance, and mirror protocols became a topic of architectural ethics. Rachel Corman's family filed a wrongful death suit and won a historic settlement. And Quill? He retired a year later, after one final podcast interview where he said, "Sometimes, the real horror isn't the unknown. It's how long we look at the truth and call it a ghost." The story of the girl on the 11th floor didn't end in room 1123. It echoed into courtrooms, city hall, mental health circles, and pop culture. It reminded people that monsters don't always hide under the bed, sometimes, they hide behind the glass. But for Ariana Bell, Rachel Corman, and the others, justice finally arrived. Not with vengeance, but with truth. And every year, on the anniversary of her disappearance, the city lights a single candle on the 11th floor balcony of the new center where the hotel once stood. A symbol. A warning. And a promise. Never again.